Hey, it's Mike Hambright with FlipNerd.com, and welcome back for another exciting VIP interview where I interview some of the most successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs in our industry to help you learn and grow. Today we've got a great show. I'm joined by Jason Lucchesi, who's a real estate investor, he's a mentor and a coach, and he teaches others a number of things, including how to find off-market deals through social media. So like LinkedIn and Facebook, but finding deals that are off-market. This is fascinating because I don't know anybody else that's really teaching this or anybody else that's really doing it successfully. So he's going to share some great this is a great topic for us to talk about today. You're probably going to learn some things that you never heard before, so it's going to be a great show. Before we get started though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days. Rates start as low as 9%. We'd also like to thank National Real Estate Insurance Group, the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mike.
Yeah, glad you're on. So we have a bunch of mutual friends, and I've heard great things about the work you're doing, and I'm glad you're going to share it with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So before we get started, why don't you kind of give us a little bit of your background on how you got started in real estate investing, and then we'll start talking about some of the stuff you're doing through social media.
Absolutely. I originally got started probably back in early 2008, and that was because I was coming off of the transition of being in the mortgage business for about 5 years, and I had no college degree, so it was really difficult for me to find any type of a decent job, especially with a child on the way.
Yeah.
All I was being able to get offered was a 100% commission job, so I was just like, well, if I'm going to be working for somebody else, I might as well do something for myself, and that's when I kind of got into real estate investing. Had a lot of failures, and I really started hitting it off really well with short sales.
Okay.
And started doing a bunch of short sales. I built up a strong team, and we were closing a lot of short sales. And then some new Indiana legislation passed. For those of you that don't know me, I'm from the Indiana area, and some new Indiana legislation passed, making it really difficult to do short sales. So I just kind of avoided them and started really focusing on rehabs, notes, and off-market deals that I'm doing right now.
Okay. And for you, off-market deals, like for me, historically, it's been direct-to-seller type stuff. We spend a lot of money on advertising. Yep. We get a chance to sit at the kitchen table or a couch, no matter how disgusting that might be, and talk about how to solve people's problems and truly try to solve people's problems. For you, you've been focused more on the REO market and other asset managers and things of that nature.
Yeah, I've been focusing a lot on, developing bank relationships, and I'm talking, not banks like Bank of America or Chase, like I'm talking like local or regional level banks.
Okay. And
also hedge funds and private sellers. And yeah, exactly what you mean. Like off market to me means like it's not on Craigslist, it's not on, LoopNet or the MLS. It's like completely off market. It's not being circulated all around the internet either.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So tell us a little bit about, obviously that's evolved over time. So talk about how that's maybe evolved with, because even when I started in 2008 as well, and at one point we got a bank relationship that we bought a number of deals from that was like, a division of Wells Fargo, which just seemed like this is crazy that we found this and, got some deals through it. How do we replicate that? Which from our perspective and our experience became impossible to replicate because there got to be a point where a lot of banks just said, well, we have to list everything. Everything has to go on the MLS. And I know that's evolved over time, but talk about kind of the evolution that's happened from getting access to deals through asset managers to where it is today.
Sure. Well, as you know, a lot of banks aren't really releasing REOs like they used to.
Yeah.
They're sitting on them, and most of the time it's they're having a really tough time getting individuals out of the home, and that's why we're having this zombie REO problem. I think I think they're calling it vampire REOs.
Okay.
I get confused when they talk about zombies and vampires, but the vampire REOs is when the original owner of record is still in the property and the bank really hasn't done anything to kick them out. So we're coming across that problem in a major way. I'm not sure if you're experiencing it in your market, but it has been a major problem across the entire country. So with that being said, they have been liquidating privately on a different level. Now, Bank of America's, Chase's, Wells Fargo's, they're the ones that are really liquidating the REOs to hedge funds, and that's why we're really not seeing a lot of those. But hedge funds, a lot of these hedge funds that got involved with this early on, they didn't understand a whole lot about it.
Right.
So right now they're actually liquidating a lot of these assets for way less than what we I'd probably say 30 cents on the dollar, because they probably purchased them in what I call data tapes of, they bought 10,000, 20,000 at a time, and they probably got them for 5 to 10 cents on the dollar. So they're still making a really good return on their investment, but most of these hedge funds were built with Wall Street money. And as you know, Wall Street people, want to get in and out as quickly as possible, and they want their money, their profit, as quickly as possible. And that's not the case with how a lot of these funds were structured. A lot of them were 6 to 7 years, and a lot of these guys are wanting their money pulled out actually right now.
Yeah.
So that's why we're going to start seeing more and more of these properties start to get on the market.
Yep.
So that's essentially what I've been seeing over the past 12 to 18 months develop, and I think it's we're going to start seeing a flood of deals come on probably within the next 12 to 24 months.
Yeah. So while a lot of people are spending their time watching kittens box on the internet and stuff like that, you've figured out a way to generate leads on Facebook and LinkedIn and maybe other social media things. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I started doing, I got on LinkedIn and Facebook probably right around 07, 08. Never really thought of it as like a way for me to generate any business. I really didn't start utilizing it until probably late 2009.
Okay.
Probably early 2010. And I really started doing it on LinkedIn before Facebook. And I started connecting with people through groups. And there's so many different groups on LinkedIn. Like when you did a search for asset manager, there was maybe 400,000 or 500,000 people that came up with the title asset manager. And if you do it now, it's close to like 1.3 million people. So it's changed quite a bit within the last 4 years. And asset managers can be people that either work for private equity funds, they could be for banks, hedge funds. So those people are people that you can get into contact with. Now, I tell people I'd say 85% of those people out of the 1.3 million are going to be people that you could do business with. But there's no way just one person could reach out to that many people on LinkedIn. So I just tell people, I'm like, go through their profile, make sure they're active. And what I mean by that is make sure they have a decent amount of connections. I always recommend 300 plus or higher. And I always recommend make sure they're in some sort of some groups. And you could do that by scrolling down on their page and seeing what type of groups they're involved in. So they're not involved in any real estate groups, but they're involved in like sewing groups or something different than what their niche is that they're involved in. I'd probably pass on those people.
Yeah.
But the other 15%, Mike, are people that deal with retirement accounts, Roth IRAs, mutual funds, stocks, bonds.
Okay.
But the thing with that is some people think, that 15% they can't do business with, but those people all have access to money.
Right.
And what a lot of real estate investors need from what, Matt and I, my business partner, Matt Andrews, we've been doing a lot of one-on-one calls over the past 2 weeks. And the number one thing people need is money for their deals.
Right.
So it's like literally right there on LinkedIn. Like these people have money that, they're making like maybe 0.5% on their money. And they could be making, I tell people, I'm like, let them tell you what they want before you tell them, because we get all jazzed up and we'll say, yeah, we could give you 12%. And then they get scared because they think it might be a scam.
Right.
And then they'll come back and say maybe 7-8%. We're like, sure, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's people out there that other 15%, those are people that are looking to do stuff with their money. And you could do private money deals all day long with those individuals.
Yep. So on LinkedIn, for example, tell us how you get from somebody that has a title or a keyword somewhere planted in their profile of asset manager to actually finding somebody you can talk to, and then from talking to them, get to where they're sharing deals with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I typically like to find groups on LinkedIn. So what I typically do, Mike, is I'll type in real estate or real estate investing, and I'll click on the blue magnifying glass within LinkedIn's search engine. And then what I'll do is I'll narrow it by selecting groups. Okay. And by doing that, I could pull up all the real estate investing groups. And I believe the top group has like close to 500,000 members.
Yep.
So that's a really great starting point for me to find other real estate investors and just start sending them messages to see like, hey, are you interested in possibly connecting or doing, some business together? Because, when you mention, hey, I'm coming across off-market deals and I'm getting them at like a substantial discount, and you ask them, would you be interested? If they say no, then obviously that's somebody that you don't want to do business with, but 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes.
Yeah.
Most people, the other cool thing is you could geo-target them. So if you're looking for people in the Texas market, you could type in Texas, and it's going to pull up all the people that have a profile and live in Texas.
Okay.
So it's really cool.
Now you said something you just said is you're kind of saying, hey, I have off-market deals. Are you interested? So these are folks that you're trying to build relationships with to actually get deals from or to sell to, or?
Both.
Okay.
We teach people how to find actual buyers on LinkedIn, and we also teach them how to find sellers.
Okay.
That have off-market deals, because believe it or not, they have asset manager groups, they have special assets groups, they have credit risk groups, and these are all people that work for banks or hedge funds, and they're all talking about they interact with one another, and they probably trade assets. They possibly some have capital to deploy to maybe acquire some of their assets. But those groups are huge. There's like 5, 10,000, 15,000 plus members in those groups. And those are all people that are with local and regional level banks that you can start, reaching out to. And we've had somebody that, got involved, sent out a message to some bank in, I believe, Mississippi. And they sent them like 10 deals to take a look at to see if they were interested, that nobody else knew about.
Yeah.
Because, your competition, isn't going to pick up the phone and call these people.
Right.
Unless they, feel confident in what they're doing.
Yeah. So are these, and then talk a little bit about how you start that communication process. So you're finding somebody, you send them a private message through LinkedIn, and you try to get them to email you back. I mean, at some point you want to get it out of LinkedIn, right?
Sure. The best way to do it without coming across as being spammy is sending a message to that person. Now, you can only send them a message if you're in the same group with them.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to pay for a premium account.
Yeah.
That's going to run you between I believe $30 up to $150.
Okay.
So what I'm showing people is how to do it for free, and telling people that are listening or watching this is all you need to do is join the same group as these folks, and you could send them a private message without having to pay for it.
Yeah. Are there some restrictions inside of LinkedIn where limitation on the number of messages you can send if you're sending them to somebody you're in the same group with?
As of right now, no. There is a limitation on how many groups you can be in as a basic member, which is 50.
Okay. But no restriction on number, so you could send as many messages. I'm trying to think back of some experiences I've had where I feel like I'm in the same group with somebody, but then it's asking me to put in their email address, or maybe we just weren't in the same group and I didn't realize it.
Well, if you join the group and you're still waiting for the group to actually approve you,
Could be.
then that may be a different story.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But the other thing too is if you just try connecting with them, that you may need to have an email address at that point in time.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so once you connect with them and send them a private message, do you try to take that communication outside of LinkedIn?
Yeah. Well, what I want to do is I want them to connect with me. So when I send that message, I want them to accept my invitation to connect with them, because a lot of people don't know this. You get their direct email address, you get their work phone number, their cell phone number, you get the address to where they work. So I'm still a big believer in doing direct mail. So if somebody just accepted your invitation to connect, I would send them like a letter just saying, hey, thanks, I look forward to doing business with you. You also get their company website access, so there's a directory on there for possibly more people to do business with. But once I make a connection with them on LinkedIn, I'll send them out a message to see if we're compatible to do business with. And then I'll take it after there. I'll take it a step further and we'll talk. The other cool thing is once you become connected to each other, you could also get their instant messenger. So, right now you and I are doing Skype. Somebody else can maybe have a Google Instant Messenger or a Yahoo Instant Messenger, and you could start doing instant messaging with these people.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. You get access to so much stuff.
Yeah, and you can download to a CSV all your contacts information too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've done that. I downloaded like 300 asset managers, and I made it to where it was really personal. And their first name was spelled correctly, and it just wasn't all lowercase, because some people that come in on our email list, they put their first name all lowercase. So what I did was I just, made it look presentable, like, I was sending a personal message to them, which I was.
Yeah.
And the response was great. I received like a 30% open rate on the emails, and I was able to find a few people to do business with.
Yeah.
So that's a cool way to simplify your business. And I know you could go to iContact or Constant Contact, and you could get a free account that gives you 500 emails that you can add for free, or MailChimp has 2,000. So you can literally do a lot of what I do on a very limited budget.
Yeah. And so your purpose is initially to engage them.
Yes.
And then at some point you say, hey, by the way, I'm looking for this, or you're kind of basically asking them how you can engage a little bit more. Would they be interested in talking about it? Or?
Yep. I let them know that I'm a real estate investor, and the key thing is when you're talking to, maybe banks or hedge funds, I typically let them know that I have capital that I'm looking to deploy. And I may say, hey, I'm looking to deploy it, in these markets. And they'll go ahead and send me a list of what they have. Okay. And I'll let them know, we could close fast. And, as soon as we take a look and do our due diligence, we could close extremely fast. Some like the We Buy Houses people. They say we could buy a house in 3 days, or however long they want to say it. Yeah. We let them know we could close extremely fast, so they could, so they know that we're serious.
And so, and you said you're primarily going after smaller, like regional banks or local banks?
Correct.
Yeah.
Because, most of the larger banks, they will not
You can't
even talk to
find
us
the
unless
decision
we have.
maker, yeah.
Well, you could find the decision maker, but they'll deal with you if you maybe want to do like an asset that's $500,000 or more.
Yeah.
If you're talking below that amount, they won't sell you anything like on a one-off basis, which means one property at a time, or a bulk package for them is selling off like 10,000 deals at a time.
Right.
And I don't know if you have $100 million, but I certainly don't.
Yeah.
To just buy up those type of assets.
Yeah, I have to check my wallet. I think I might be a little bit shy of that. Yeah, no, and I know, and I really don't know many people that have successfully bought large packages that aren't institutions, but the ones that I have seen in the past, people are like, hey, we've got a tape of this many properties, and does anybody want to buy into it? But there was always a bunch of crap in it too. It was like, yeah, I like about 25% of that is kind of at least geographically where I want to buy, and the rest of it is like 4 hours away in the middle of nowhere, or just there's always
Right.
it was always lumped together with stuff that you didn't even want to touch.
Right. Yeah, it's fine. It's kind of hard finding good, solid packages that come from other people that you're not working directly with.
Yeah.
So I just let people know, like, brokers, that's not really the route to go down unless they could allow you to do a conference call with the seller,
Mm-hmm.
and then you could actually verify that the product is actually real. And you could talk to the decision maker on the phone without circumventing the broker.
Right.
But there's so many people out there that do a daisy chain. It's just wastes everybody's time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So LinkedIn, I mean, from my perspective, LinkedIn is a great. Most people, you tend to have a more professional. People are using it more on a professional level than Facebook. Let's say historically, maybe that's changing. So they're likely to have more information about their job and things. The Facebook side for me seems like it's a little more of a personal network where people are, probably sharing pictures of their family and stuff that's a little bit different. So, so I know you started using LinkedIn and now you're using Facebook. So kind of talk about those differences and the pros and cons, I guess, of Facebook versus LinkedIn.
Sure. Well, the other thing too that I just wanted to mention is you said something about how many messages can you send on LinkedIn, and I want to bring that up because I'm going to discuss it here on about Facebook too. I would just send out, probably 5 to 10 messages, get it tested, because if you start getting marked as like they don't know you, then that's going to be a red flag on your account. And the way I kind of go about that is I look at people's profiles first. Okay. And the way I do that is I see like how many connections they have. Have they met the 300 plus connections? Are they involved in active groups?
Yeah.
If they are, then that's somebody I'm going to send a message out to.
Yeah.
So the people I won't is if they don't have a whole lot of connections and they have like no groups. That's a flag. I don't want to send them anything because they're going to definitely say they don't know who you are.
Probably less tolerant of stuff like that.
Yeah, they're not. Maybe they got on there because their boss told them, "Hey, we're trying to, put the website up and we're trying to get noticed more. So make a profile, please."
Yep.
But the same thing goes with Facebook. Outside of the main feed, we go and we hook up with people in actual real estate groups, and there's so many of them on Facebook.
Yep.
And you could start connecting with people, and you could target it. Like I've got a group called the Central Indiana Mastermind, something like that. I don't know the exact name, but a lot of people on there are from Indiana, so we could start connecting with with people. They could post properties on there, and I could go through the members, and I think there's like 2,400 members on there, and I could send them out private messages stating, "Hey, are you looking to do this?" or blah, blah, blah. You could start connecting with them on that level as well.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. A lot of those groups, as soon as you join the groups, you can start having access to the actual members.
Yeah.
And sending out private messages. Again, before you start sending those out, just be careful, of who you're sending the message out to. If it's somebody that, hasn't posted anything in like, a year, I probably wouldn't, send them a private message.
Right, right. And,
You know,
any kind of tips on using Facebook versus LinkedIn? Because it's much more kind of one-to-one, right? Like you can't download a list.
right.
The most of the messaging, like the email address that Facebook gives you is probably not their best email. It's like they're probably their @Facebook email address, which nobody uses.
Right.
So any kind of tips on how to simplify that, or any ninja tricks that you know of? I mean, I do know that you obviously could, if you know how to advertise effectively on Facebook, you can just target the people that are in that group to where they're effectively seeing your ad. But in terms of a kind of one-to-one communication, is there you have any ninja tricks for us?
The best way I would do that is just start having a conversation with them.
Yeah.
If they're interested in receiving off-market deals, or if they're interested in selling, they're going to give you their phone number plus their email address. All you have to do is ask for it. And there's really, it's super basic information that you would ask for. I typically send out the same message that I would connecting with somebody on LinkedIn.
Yep.
I typically say, hey, I saw that we're a part of the same group, and I say the group, and I just let them know, hey, I'm a real estate investor from Indiana. I'm doing investing across the nation. This is what I'm doing. Would you like to connect and do some business together?
Yeah.
And then, if I don't receive a response from them, then it's more than likely not somebody that, we're going to be compatible with to do business with.
Right.
So that's probably the best tip I would give, is just my big thing is being, open and transparent to these people,
Right.
and just having communication being key. It's honestly just going back to like some of the basic stuff, because a lot of the basics for me still work. I still do a lot of direct mail, and a lot of the basic stuff still works very, very well.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about your time, because I know that if you're doing a lot of the things that you're talking about here yourself, it could become very time consuming. And I know there's other people like me that want to outsource everything to a virtual assistant and find some way to take it from this to like doing 1 million of something a day, which takes away from the personal approach that you've talked about here. Is this something that you have to spend all of your time doing, or have you found ways to kind of outsource some components of it? Or
No, you could absolutely hire somebody from Odesk to do this. It could still be extremely personable.
Yeah.
All you're doing is you're sending out a message to these people. So if I was having a VA send out the message to you, I would just have them say, "Hi, Mike," and then just have it be extremely personable, like, "Hey, I'm sending you a direct message that's coming directly from me.
Yeah.
Let's connect there."
Yeah.
And then I would instruct the VA how to proceed forward with different messages after I've received contact.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, Jason, I know you have a couple of training products that teach people how to use this in much more depth than we were able to get to today. Do you want to share how to get there? And we can provide a link down below the video as well. But
Sure. No, if people want to come visit getOnTheInside.com, we've got tons of video content on there, like training videos, showing people how to get private money, how to talk to certain individuals. But if you would, if people want to, find out more about us, they could join our mailing list. I think we give away a free book, a free book on, I believe, it's on how to do real estate investing through the internet. So they'll get a free book just by going to getOnTheInside.com. And yeah, we'd be more than happy to speak with people that are interested in pursuing this for sure.
Okay, great. Well, hey, thanks so much for your time. So any kind of final comments here on how to use social media for real estate investing, and maybe just how people can kind of, we talked about a lot of stuff here today, but how to take baby steps and how to get started?
Sure. Yeah, I'd probably, like I said, just start finding the right profiles of people that you want to do business with. So off the bat, I always tell people, like, when they're getting started in real estate, is build their buyers list. So that's the first thing I would establish on LinkedIn, is start connecting with other investors. Maybe they're wholesalers, but maybe they already have a buyers list, and you guys can start doing co-wholesale deals together. So that's a great way to do it. If you already have that business figured out, then I would just use LinkedIn as a tool to connect with people that have those private off-market deals that your cash buyers really, really want.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the key tip, is just really kind of keeping it simple. There's nothing super analytical or technical about doing this. I'm not a super tech savvy guy, so I tried finding something that, I could do that was super simple, and that's definitely it.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mentor a lot of people, and I often say to people, you just need to set a date in your calendar. And this is one of those things where I need to take my own advice more often, but set a date in the calendar for like once a quarter and just say, for an hour, I'm just going to go to a Starbucks or whatever and just sit down. And all I'm going to think about is how to get back to basics. Because we all have a way to like be going forward. The next thing you know, you start going like off the reservation and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. It's like just evaluate, and you don't really realize at the time because it just happens a little bit at a time. And the next thing you know, you're like doing all sorts of crazy stuff that's taking up your time and using your resources and utilizing your team more than they maybe have time for. And so I think to just kind of reflect on that, like, how do I get back to basics, or do I need to get back to basics, or what am I doing right now that is just not effective and we just need to stop like right now.
Right. So. And the other thing too is I want to say before we end this is I'd probably, make a goal, make a plan, and I'd probably send out 5 messages per day. And then once you start getting, a week past the 5 messages and things are going good, I'd probably start sending out 10 then a day. I'd, start sending out as many as you want until you get to until you want. But I'd still keep sending out those messages by having that VA do that for you. But definitely put out a plan that you would like to see yourself accomplishing on a daily basis, and just keeping it simple.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I just want to say thanks again, Mike, for having me on your show. I've been wanting to be on for a while now, so this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much for being on. Thanks for sharing that. It's really interesting information. I'd encourage people to go to your blog, which we'll link down below here. And I know you've got some training products coming up too on specifically how to use LinkedIn and Facebook for where you go into a lot more depth. And I think, I don't know anybody else that's talking about that. Seems so obvious. I mean, there's so many of us that are addicted to Facebook and on there all day long, but it's totally non-productive time. Like, I'm looking at stuff that, how many more motivational quotes can we look at, stuff like that. So
exactly.
Anyway, but hey, thanks for sharing your insights on that. It's really good information. I think a lot of people will get a lot of benefit out of it.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, you too. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
All right, bye-bye. Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit FlipNerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry, so get on over to FlipNerd.com.